Hi guys, and welcome back to Crypto News. I'm here today to give you sort of a market overview right now of sort of the whole of the crypto market, to show you what's happening, why I'm bullish, and just sort of a breakdown on Bitcoin, and because obviously Bitcoin is leading the market. So without further ado guys, I'm just going to get straight into this update, nice informative update on BTC with some new breaking news for you guys to look forward to. So the market cap for crypto right now is currently sat at $3.3 trillion, which is pretty high. Okay, it's not as high as it has been in previous months, but you can see here just sort of in the general last 30 days, we have sort of been ranging in this area. In the last year, you can see we haven't really come down too much. It did come up the most basically through the end of 2024, where we did see that sort of all-time high for, well, not all-time high, but the high of the bull market for most altcoins here. That's where we saw the market cap of crypto sort of get to a really strong level. But you can see we haven't dipped down too much in today's price here, which is still a bullish sign. There is a few things I want to get into here regarding altcoins and where we see them going and how underpriced a few of them are right now. But let's cover Bitcoin to start us off here. So you can see futures trades at the moment, the open interest, there's $3.6 billion in futures trades that are open right now, which in comparison to the size of the market is actually pretty small. Okay, roughly like 1% here of the current crypto market is basically propped up by futures trades, which does sort of explain why it has been quite choppy recently, because they obviously will try and liquidate a lot of positions here. So an open interest sort of comes down a bit. That's when you can sort of expect less volatility in the market, okay? Because they're not actually trying to liquidate as many people as possible and extract liquidity from the market, okay? So fear and greed right now, pretty neutral, okay? Pretty neutral, which isn't such a bad thing. I know you're probably sat there like, oh, I would love this to be really high and really greedy. I want the markets to be going up. But right now, you've actually got an opportunity. You've got an opportunity to stack and buy crypto, because these prices, these altcoins are cheap, okay? Solana, basically, right? For example, Solana at $146 right now. That was literally at $250 like in December, guys. That's like a massive gain buying at these prices. So with a neutral sort of sentiment right now for the fear and greed index, it does show that there is hope in the market. People are still buying, but I think it's the smart people that are buying at this level, okay? Because you should be DCAing into these altcoin dumps, okay? Now, let's get into some crypto news on the more positive side here, because there's a lot of stuff going on in sort of the Bitcoin space here, which is basically saying that the markets will continue to the upside, okay? So you can see here, Bitcoin ETFs have seen, well, they saw an 11-day inflow streak with $588 million in a volume surge, okay? That was all the way up until Wednesday, the 25th of June here. And yeah, this is obviously very bullish. It shows that the market is genuinely continuously getting investment here into Bitcoin. We're seeing Bitcoin tickle all-time highs near enough here, not quite getting to that 112K just yet, but we saw 110,000 literally like I think a day ago now. So it does show that the inflow is still strong and the sentiment for Bitcoin and crypto is not lost, okay? So that's the first bullish point that I want to talk about here. The next point is obviously Metaplanet. Metaplanet is basically, I think, the leading company over in Asia here that have plans to buy up massive supply of Bitcoin. Think of MicroStrategy with Michael Saylor, same scenario, but in Asia, and they're called Metaplanet. Their goal is to own 1% of Bitcoin here, and they are literally just buying it up like crazy right now. So that is another reason why the markets are pumping to the upside. Now, you're probably thinking, the markets are pumping to the upside, Bitcoin's going up, why aren't my altcoins going up? Why isn't the altcoin market moving? That is due to a thing called Bitcoin dominance, guys, okay? And I'll show you back in 2021, a second ago, when Bitcoin dominance fell off a cliff, and that's where we saw the altcoins really start to move. Right now, for the last, well, basically since December here, you remember we saw that massive December pump here. That's because Bitcoin dominance dumped like crazy, guys. The dominance over the market that Bitcoin has tanked, okay? Now, right now, since that point, it's just been going up, Okay, it's basically just been going up here. And what this shows here, it shows that Bitcoin is still the dominant asset. When this starts to dump down, you will see altcoins really start to move on their own. They'll do 10, 20, 30, maybe even 50% in a day if we're talking meme coins, okay? So let's, as I said, we'll zoom out to 2021 and I'll show you what happened here when we saw the markets really explode, I think back in January, December, okay? So you can see here, December, Bitcoin dominance went right the way up here. We saw Bitcoin pretty much getting to all-time highs around that area as well. And then what happened? Bitcoin dominance absolutely tanked, but the altcoin market started the biggest run they've ever had, okay? And this is sort of what we're looking for here, okay? This level was at 73.5, so 73.5% was where Bitcoin dominance was. Now, if we look at where it currently is, guys, we've been creeping up to this area for a significant amount of time. Okay, we're not quite there just yet, but when we see a bit more momentum to the upside here, we could start to see Bitcoin dominance really start to dump down. When that does happen, as I said, your altcoins will really begin to move on their own. This thing can't just go up, guys. It has to come down. We have to see other projects run on their own at some point when the adoption really starts to happen again, okay? And this is why it's kind of a safe bet putting your money in like Sui, Solana, Ethereum, these sort of big layer one chains here that already have a reputation. They're already sitting in the $1 billion of market cap. They are blue chips, but yet they're still massively underpriced in comparison to the rest of the market right now, or comparison to the highs that we did see in the last run in 2021. So a few things to consider there and a bit more news to cover here, guys. You can see Meta planning to launch Bitcoin-backed stock offering 10% yield in Japan. That is absolutely huge. That's going to be getting them a lot more investment, which likely they're going to be using to be dumping back into Bitcoin, okay? And you can see MicroStrategy, obviously we know MicroStrategy, it's Michael Saylor. The stock in the last month here has actually gone up 6.85% here, which is, again, super bullish here. It just shows that all of these things are leading to a more bullish market that we are seeing here in the space. Okay, so I just want to reassure you guys that the market is strong here, and we are looking for all-time highs for Bitcoin, and all we need is Bitcoin dominance to really start to fall, and then we see the real alt season start to take off again like we did in 2021. Now, talking Bitcoin here, I want to talk to you guys quickly about all-time highs before we end this video here. I don't want to keep you guys too long. Just want to give you an overview of what's sort of happening here. But you can see here that I know it's a bit clued, I know it's a bit messy. So let me get rid of a few indicators here, just so you guys can see it a bit better here. Okay, let's just get rid of all of that. Okay, so you can see here in most recent price action that we obviously saw an all-time high in December, another all-time high in January, and then recently in May we smashed through another all-time high as well, setting that at roughly, I think it was 112 we got here. Yeah, just about 112 here over on the Bitcoin index. Now, what does it tell us? It tells us that for us to keep breaking all-time highs continuously for Bitcoin at this level for the last sort of 6 to 7 months here, that is insanely bullish, guys. That's very good news. And what is likely to happen here is when we do see another pump to the upside here, this is obviously the target, which we will talk about in a second, we're very likely to see altcoins begin to follow. Like we did see, I think 2 days ago, Bitcoin started to pump again, tickling $110,000. What happened? Some altcoins went up exponentially. We saw Mudeng, I think, did 40% in a day. Turbo, that did like 15%. Popcat did 15%, and other blue chip assets like Sui, I think Sui did like 8%. Solana, I think Solana did 10%, and they really started to move here. Okay, so when we see all-time highs get broken again for Bitcoin, all that's going to do is instill trust back into the crypto space and basically flood in more volume. Retail's going to be coming back in. The FOMO is going to start again, and then the markets are really going to start to take off. Now, what's the target for Bitcoin? The target for Bitcoin right now that I've got for an all-time high for the next sort of wave up is roughly 130K, okay? If that is going to happen and we do see explosions here, I'm not saying altcoins are going to all-time high, guys. I'm saying altcoins are probably going to do like 20, 30, maybe even 40% for some of them, which is enough for us to make a decent amount of money here trading them. I like the idea of a nice 2x right now on most altcoins, most sort of top 100 altcoins in the space, a 2x at this level is very, very nice because your liquidation is 50% lower than the current price. The market's still strong. Don't forget that. The market is still strong, and it's very unlikely that the market is going to retrace another 50% with Bitcoin at all-time highs. Okay, it's very, very unlikely that is going to happen. Obviously, not financial advice. Do your own research, all that good stuff. But that is sort of it's not a safe bet, but it's a nice swing trade to be holding here over these all-time highs continuously for Bitcoin. Okay, especially in these altcoins because they can run like crazy. Okay, we have seen that on the channel. Okay, so this area is a very, very strong area that I'm looking for resistance here. And obviously, we're going to be in all-time high territory at that point. So obviously, we're taking profit and being very, very smart with it. And just remember, guys, when we hit all-time highs, it's very, very likely we come back down and we test previous all-time highs. Okay, so we're not just going to parabolically go to the moon. So don't buy the all-time high for Bitcoin. You'll come back down and then you can buy these sorts of areas like that or whatever, right? But overall, the sentiment for the market is a bit neutral for altcoins. But for Bitcoin, it's insanely bullish. Okay, we've never seen adoption like this from major institutions, major government bodies, major countries are getting involved with this asset right now. Okay, it's breaking all-time highs. This is what is going to carry the whole market. As I said, we might not see altcoins do insane, but it will happen at some point. Within 1 to 3 years, we will see it happen, okay? Let me know what you think of my analysis of the news, of Bitcoin, of the market sentiment in general in the comment section, guys. I'm super intrigued to know your opinions. And of course, if you found any sort of value here, drop it a like on the video. It does help us out tremendously. And yeah, thank you ever so much for watching, guys. Peace out for now, and I'll see you in the next one.